Yeah, man.
Okay, we're live. Hey everyone, if you're tuning into this or watching the repeat, we're really excited for This Week in Tech to have the one and only Chris Laupama from, you're in the Bay of Plenty, eh?
I was. I'm back up in Auckland now. So
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Sorry, I should have done better research for the big
Oh, it's
interview
all
today.
good. Yeah, it's been a lot of time there. So
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
good.
so I mean, I met Chris, maybe it was a year ago, on Twitter. I was really just looking for someone based in New Zealand who could give me some advice with, getting into development in the low code, no code space. I was actually looking at a platform called Flutterflow. And he was real generous with his advice and has always been really generous with helping me on my journey and building products and, bouncing ideas around. And I don't know, I think there is something about being an islander in New Zealand. It's few and far between. I think you could probably count them on maybe two hands, like especially those who are vocal about it on social media. So really,
Mm.
really pumped to have you, jump on and share some wisdom with us. But yeah, I guess for anyone who doesn't know who you are, do you want to just give us a quick rundown on what you do and,
Yeah. So thanks for having me on, man. But yeah, a little bit about me. Initially, I was a traditional dev, and I actually used to teach at a boot camp. So I was React and Redux and all the painful kind of libraries, and then eventually I ended up finding no code, low code. Absolutely fell in love with it. Then started working with Webflow, and then from there just keep kind of expanding and kind of looking at these no code, low code platforms and kind of watching them grow and just sharing what I've learned in terms of what's possible with them and everything else. So I'm just, that kind of visual dev that has traditional dev sort of skills too. So, yeah.
awesome, man. Awesome. So the reason we're doing this live right now is because I checked LinkedIn this morning. I saw something that really caught my eye. It was a pretty fascinating read. I flicked it over to Chris, and I thought it'd be cool to get his thoughts and to just talk about how this could impact the landscape of marketing, building, launching products. In the next year. Even I think with AI, a year is too far to think about. It's like, how is this going to
Yeah.
impact us for the next month before,
Yeah.
you know? So I'll quickly read it
Absolutely.
out. And then we'll just go over, there's a photo here as well we can talk about, but really it's just to bounce ideas around and see what you think, Chris. So the next wave of startups won't launch with marketing teams. They'll launch with AI agents running everything 24/7, from content to acquisition to analytics. This isn't future talk. Quietly, there are founders who are printing with growth AI agents right now. Imagine your acquisition agent running 50 meme accounts simultaneously, testing hooks across different niches, generating 1,000 posts daily until it finds what hits. Your research agent analyzing 100K tweets per hour, finding unmet needs and feature requests that no one's building for. Your content agent creating 200 unique hooks. Your community agent welcoming every user personally. SEO agent generating 500 pages of perfect content daily. Email agent writes and tests 50 different sequences. Your growth agent becomes fully automated, working 24/7. You pay per result. What previously required 20 people and a 2 mil salary now happens automatically with 2K agent costs. One founder becomes as powerful as a fully funded startup. Growth becomes systematic. Fun thing to think about, because you can already see it starting to happen. Game on. I'll probably do an episode. So this guy called Greg Eisenberg, he's got a podcast called Startup Ideas Podcast. It's brilliant. Anyway, and then he goes quickly over some of examples of AI agents, and it's just way too much to talk about, but you can see they're broken into the different categories. So for my part, I've kind of only been hearing about products in this space, in the kind of coding sphere, maybe that people have been deploying to help them write code, or potentially, Cursor AI is probably the biggest that I've heard. I don't know would you class that as an AI agent, or as just like as a helper, because I've seen it the way it works. It's like, it really does complete higher, it's called higher goal tasks,
Yeah,
but what are your
yeah.
thoughts on this?
I absolutely agree with Greg. I have for a wee while. I think it's really important maybe to quickly define the difference between an agent and just using like ChatGPT, for example.
Mm,
Um, because some people may already think, oh, well, isn't ChatGPT an AI agent? Technically, it isn't. It can be, but it isn't. So, when you're asking about Cursor does do a lot of AI related stuff, but it's only recently got an agent. When I say recently, I mean within the last couple of weeks of this stream. So
right.
basically, what an agent is, well, let's start with just ChatGPT, OpenAI, Claude, whatever. Uh, Basically, when you have a conversation with the AI model, all it's doing is just going through and responding with probability based off what you're asking it, right? So it's very straightforward, but it's like this, like in simple terms, if I go up to you and I go, hey, write a blog post about glide apps and you can't stop, and I point a gun to your head and you just have to write it out straight, no thinking, no planning, no nothing. Um, AI models are pretty good at doing that right now, but they can be a lot better. And that's where agentic systems come in. Um, so there's kind of four main things with agentic models or agents, and that's reflection, tool use, planning, and then there's multi-agent systems as well. So reflection means that the AI model, let's say you give it a task like, like you said, like Cursor, write some code that displays a form. It will write the code, and then after that, the reflection will then go back, and the model will look at the code again and go, "Okay, I've written it. Let me have a look. Oh, there's an error there." It's pretty common, Cursor and any other sort of OpenAI or anything, where you'll ask it something, will give you code or some response, you're like, change this or this wasn't right. So it goes back and it will go, I see that problem, and it will fix it for you, right?
Mm,
So agents, you can get them to iterate themselves and go and change that for you. And so they're smart in that way. Then there's tool use, which means if I said to you or to ChatGPT, hey, when like what dates are my holiday break days and when's the sunniest and blah blah blah. If you ask that to ChatGPT right now, just straight off the bat, it's got no idea because it has no idea where you work, no idea what your dates are and all that. So tool use is where you can connect APIs to an agent so it has access to other data. So it knows your
mm,
calendar, it knows how many days that you have available. Then it has access to a weather API to check which days are the sunnier ones. Then it will come back with a response. So it's a bit smarter in that way.
yeah.
Planning is another one. It's a chain of thought. That's where the agent can go through. If you say, hey, here's an image of my child, can you generate another image but make it in anime style or something else or something completely different? It can do chain of thought, which means it will go, all right, first I need to see what position the person's in the photo. Then I need to determine the setting. Then I need to determine this and that. Then I need to generate the image. So that's planning. The agent has the ability to plan out what it's got to do first. And then
Mm,
multi-agent is where it's super powerful, is where you have one agent that has a specific job, has tools, has planning, has reflection, but it's one job maybe just go to the internet, get all the latest information about Glide, and then come back to me and give me the top 10 results, right? So it will do that. Then that will pass it on to another agent that has a specific job of write 3 draft blogs, let's say. And then the next one that is
mm,
to go over them and polish them up. And then it will pass it on to another one that may send it out to all the different social medias in their specific format. So that's multi agent. So when it comes to AI agents versus standard agents, and this is what Greg's talking about, and this is what makes us all so excited, is they can absolutely, depending on how you create them, they can absolutely replace a lot of the mundane tasks and everything else that people are doing these days.
mm,
Um, you can literally make a marketing team if you just go through and like if you break down the processes of what a marketing team may do in terms of not only obviously posting content out, but generating it, looking over it, comparing it, is it in your brand voice guidelines and things like that. And the great thing with agents is you split them into very specific tasks if you give OpenAI or ChatGPT, sorry, a whole pile of different things. I want you to go to the internet, get this, make you to make some drafts and do this and that. It's going to break at some point. So it's just like a human. You treat them like humans in the sense of going, this is your one task. These are all the parameters for it. These are the tools you have access to. Once you're done, I want you to send it to this next agent,
Yeah.
and that's the power. So super exciting. And yeah, it's a whole new era of AI, a whole new era.
Yeah. I mean, last night my wife was using ChatGPT to try and transcribe a counseling session that she'd had. And so she had the timestamp and the timestamp quote. And she was over like 5,000 lines or something. So she had to ask it to return it in a CSV or a table. And you can just see it throttling at like the 100 limit and then saying, oh, yeah, I've just completed it. But so then she said to me like, oh, what do I do? It's not giving me all of the information. And then I, as like a third party, have to tell her, oh, you might have to limit or batch your inputs. So real simplistic, but an AI agent would just do the task I just did, where it's saying, I actually have to problem solve. My job is just to chunk up, maybe to batch the input so that, the guy whose turn it is next actually has, they're like working as a team. I think that's really powerful because you've got so many departments or businesses that, or labor would be the biggest one, right? The biggest, I guess, pain point maybe in this climate or this economy where you've got like 100 team members, and in the future you might have a reality where someone can set up AI agents for you. So my thing with this is like to bring it back down to earth for people. Do you think, I joked with you that Agentive .co was available, and I was like, do you think the next wave of agencies, of the social media marketing agency or something, we've got automation agencies, do you think that they'll have Agentive agencies, or will it be the tools will be so good people can kind of just use them in-house?
Both. Just like with social media. And it's funny you kind of compare it to that social media boom because it's very, very similar. A lot of businesses don't realize they need it or how much value it's going to bring, but they do need it. It's going to save them so much money. It's much more precise. They're never sick. They're never going to take days off. They can literally work in the background while you're asleep. It's like a website, social media, everything, all the positives that you get and value you get from all of those. It's the same with the Gentive models. Absolutely. Like, I'm working on with some friends and family, our own agent, agency at the moment, Boostal.ai. So it's definitely the way to go. But at the same time, yeah, there are some new platforms out there that are starting to allow you to create agentic workflows. And the super, like Relevance is a great one, Langflow, DeFi, and they're super powerful. It's just a whole new concept because you need to understand AI first. And then you do need some developer experience because you need to understand how APIs work and data. But it's going to get there, man. It's absolutely going to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, I know that this was one that I've played around with a bit, but even just to look at like this as a visualization of kind of what you're talking about, where you've got some kind of start, some kind of prompt, and then you're going to, this guy here, for example, is question classifier. So it's, I don't know how you'd talk about this, but you're essentially adding a class to what the question is, or filtering what kind of type of question is this person asking. Or for example, this would be maybe a chatbot and someone's asking your business about what products you have on offer or something, or something to do with that. So it's got, and then you've got the knowledge retrieval. So I think these are things that, like, non-technical, or even myself, it's so foreign to think about, because when you have Google, you have all that baked in. All of this stuff is like behind what's going on. But to be able to learn tools like this, where I jumped into DeFi with no coding experience, and I was able to get some kind of results on the other side of it by building and using a few templates, etc. So, I mean, do you think, next question, do you think like these tools, for the most part, would you say 95% are for technical founders or technical people to use to start to build? But do you think that there'll be a case where, people will have to be plugging in all, like 1 to 10 agentic workflows into one? For most people's tech stack, that maybe they just got a Monday.com or an Airtable kind of thing going. And, how do you think this will integrate with what people are already using?
Yeah, I definitely think that you need to be technical at the moment to utilize agentic workflows. Um,
Mm.
they will, well, to be honest, they currently already do plug into already popular utilized platforms like Trello or Monday or anything like that. So if you get a developer that's savvy, they can go through and go, here's your board in Trello or Monday or whatever. Just drag this to this, and it's going to do this for you, right?
Mm.
A lot of agentic workflows and AI workflows in general, and general sort of business logic and automation are very similar, very, very close. They're within that same sort of realm. So a lot of people that already have those sort of technical skills, you'll be able to utilize workflows like agentic systems and workflows very easily. But yeah, you will need to be pretty technically savvy. But I do believe in the future it's going to get easier. People are already making agentic workflows where it looks like a Word document, and all you do is just use pure natural language, and
Mm.
it will figure it out for you, and it'll say, it sounds like you want to do this. Do you want to connect your Google Calendar? Yeah. Okay, I've done that. Now for every email you want me to send a thing, yes. And it literally will do it all. So it's slowly getting there. So that's the
Yeah.
benefit of AI, is it's in a kind of input or interface that people are familiar with, and that's chat. Everyone knows how to text.
Yeah.
It's even easier than email. So people are already working on that, and that's what makes it even more exciting.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I'm excited about is like using Toddle and learning to use that for the first time, jumping in, and I'll bring it up maybe quickly, having to use like the AI chat, like when I'm in the back end building, and I can, sorry, not back end, when I'm in the builder, and I can just type in, hey, I'm trying to create a variable here, or how do I connect to this argument to this, and just having that prompt and help me. But I think eventually what we're talking about is not, that's just AI chatbot. What we're talking about is, hey, can you build me an app which is a resume vetter or something, and it's able to go through, and it's almost like the way I've seen Cursor used. It's like you're literally, it's showing it's working as it's moving through the different tasks, but being able to like almost imagine having like a video call with your AI project manager or product manager, and just go, hey, give me the, give me the latest from the last 7 days. What was the update from each agent? And hey, I love this piece of content. Can we do this? And like, imagine managing a business as a new founder, but never having to get your hands dirty on having to learn. You're going to have some technical nous, especially as an early adopter right now. But I think it's really exciting to think about a one-person business or a two-person business. What did Sam Altman say? Is like, in the next 10 years, there'll be the first one-person billionaire business or something he mentioned. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that's... what do you think in the next, like, talking about someone who maybe has an idea, a business owner, they've got an idea right now for building a product or building an app or using agentic workflows. Like, how do you get from not using it at all and maybe just having some zaps and some make.com automations to like leaning in a little bit more, stepping in? Is it talking to a developer? Is it talking to, what would you recommend?
Yeah, it still was really early in the stages of platforms that are super user friendly, but there are a few I will mention that I think are really good. Well, they're probably leading the charge here, and that would be the Replit agent. And when I say leading the charge, I mean in terms of creating applications for you that can do pretty much anything you want, from building your own app through to even if it's a simple calculator system. So Replit Agent is one of the first ones I like to mention because it really does create a full application for you. So we're starting to enter this era of what we call personalized applications, where you may be taking your children to bed and then are like, can you read me a book about this and that and this? So you can say to Replit Agent, quickly whip me up an app where I can enter my kids' names, blah, 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 and then generate me a book. Obviously, you can do that with ChatGPT, but, an example of personalized applications. So Replit.com is one. I've used it to build backends, front ends, everything, a lot of things. It's incredible. So, and it uses agentic. So one of the downfalls with the kind of agentic systems is that the response times are a lot slower. It's what you call inference, because it needs to do a lot of the thinking. It's planning, it's going through a chain of thought, it's figuring out what libraries and this and that. It's just like asking someone a really complicated question. If you want a good response, it's going to take a little bit of time, and that's what happens with these. So Replit is one. The next one, which is really big right now, is called bolt.new. It's a website, bolt.new. Same sort of concept as Replit. It can build anything for you. And these are the platforms where it's made for absolutely anyone, non-technical. Just have a conversation with it. It will generate something, and if you don't like what the result is, just tell it. Tell it exactly what you don't like. Don't like these buttons. I want my users to be able to log in. And then you test that out and you log in. You're like, cool, now that I've done that, I want to be able to create a post that everyone can see. And you just keep using natural language to keep developing and progressing. Those will be the main ones.
That's cool.
And then obviously, definitely talk to a developer. But if you have ChatGPT, they have a model in there you can select called the O1 model. And that is a model that utilizes reasoning, so chain of thought. So you'll notice it's a lot slower than normal ChatGPT 4.0, but what it's doing is it's really thinking about the steps. So use that when you're wanting more complex answers that may take a bit of thought.
Yeah, that's awesome. Bro, thank you so much for jumping on. This has actually been so good. And I think there's a lot of people who are, they're, what do you call it? They're like peripheral to what's been going on and the new innovations in tech, but maybe they're not technical, or they haven't really built anything before. And I think this is the kind of conversation we just need to keep happening, because I think there's, you're educating me, I'm learning so much, and then I think the people who are watching this are also getting an idea of like, okay, here's what's actually relevant to a Kiwi business today or a Kiwi startup. Like, there's so much going on over in the States, etc. But like, this is actually people who are building things. Maybe next week, or in the next month, or in the new year, would love to see some kind of like example of how you're using, or like, like we should just do like a live build or a live breakdown of like what you're doing, because I think people need to realize that like this isn't. I caught up with a guy called Matt Browning, who's based in New Zealand. He just runs like a low code agency, and he had there was a big conference in Wellington called Sunrise, and there was like a VC there and etc. Anyway, and he was just like, well, in New Zealand we don't talk enough, we don't meet up enough, we don't, especially in that technical community. And I think it's a really, anyway, I love it. I love talking.
Yeah, I agree. It's great. We need to share more knowledge. And like you said at the start, especially there's not many of us Pacific Islanders that are in this sort of space.
Totally.
I think the stats are like 0.04%, Pacific Islanders. So, yeah, I think us Kiwis need to definitely talk more. There's a lot of knowledge to share, for sure.
Yeah, that's got me thinking, man. We should talk about that more. Anyway, we'll leave it there. In the stream, this will get uploaded to YouTube and to Instagram, I think LinkedIn as well. So thanks for jumping on.
All good.